Welcome back everyone, we're back again. We're doing another anime to D&D class. This time we're doing it on the Anti-Magic Knight, kind of based off Asta. It is based off Asta from Black Clover. But to get into it, the Anti-Magic Knights fight using the power of anti-magic. Anti-magic is an energy that's capable of nullifying other forms of magic. Anti-magic naturally opposes any mana and magic, so only someone without any magic power can wield it. Therefore, anti-magic knights cannot use magic. However, they can gain the benefits of magically imbued items such as healing potions and enchanted items. This also means that you have to choose to be you. You can go into becoming a magic knight at later levels, but say if you start at level 1, you can't branch off from there and go into other magical classes like the paladin, ranger, anything. You gotta stay in a non-magic class because you can't use it. That's the whole point of anti-magic. So you can't pick a class and go into it, otherwise you're not going to have any bonus. You can maybe get the proficiency bonuses and the skills, but you won't be able to use any of the spells. That's one of the prohibitions, or I suppose prohibitions, of using the anti-magic knight class, is that you get cut off from all the other spellcasters. Unless maybe you can find a spellcaster that can maybe deal an anti-magic, so something like that. But that's only in those kind of situations, and if you're using anti-magic, you're kind of an anti-magic knight, so I don't know, as far as I can say anyways. But hit dice is 1d10 per anti-magic knight level. Hit points the first level, 10 plus your constitution miter, so everything's the same as per usual. Hit points at higher levels, 1d10 or 6 plus your con modifier per anti-magic knight level. So you're kind of around the same kind of physicality as a fighter. That's one of the elements I took from this, is that you're going to be hand-to-hand combatant, and well, in some cases you can choose to not use hand-to-hand weapons. You could use ranged weapons, but we'll get onto that in a second. But yeah, so I kind of based it off a fighter as the base kind of hit die pool, and the amount of archetype abilities you get. So normally with most archetypes you get 4, maybe 1 a third, 6th or 7th, 11th and maybe 15th. With the anti-magic knight you actually get 5. Because you have no kind of magical abilities, I felt like they needed an extra oomph to give them a bit of more of a balance. Even at that, it's still fairly like minute that they get an extra one, but it's only kind of changes something at a much higher level, so it doesn't really unbalance it too much. So you have proficiencies with light armor, medium armor, shields, including tower shields. So you kind of want to be like a bit of a badass, so you can use kind of all the armor, all the shields. Weapons, you're proficient with simple and martial weapons. You're not proficient with any tools, unfortunately. Your saving throws are your strength and your dex. And you can choose 2 skills from acrobatics, athletics, intimidation, and perception, which all seem kind of handy and fall into kind of like a fighter-esque or a physical combatant. What you want to be good at. You want to be strong. You want to be dexterous. You want to be scary, or at least be able to be scary, and you want to be able to see what's going on around you, so perception and whatnot. Your starting equipment, you start with either chainmail or leather armor, and a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. So kind of just cool, basic, simple things. And then we get to the anti-magic knight level, or table, so you have first level, second level, or proficiency bonus, anti-magic weapon, anti-magic fighting style, shield bypass, knight's order. Knight's order is the path you choose, which you want to go down. The ability score improvement, extra attack, Mage Slayer, Knight's Order, ability score improvement, anti-magic reactions, another Knight Order ability, nothing at 11th and nothing at 17th. Just so I didn't want to give them too much, but at the same time, giving them extra things now and again. But like they're pretty much stacked from everything. So you could also top this off. You go human, you maybe do a human variant, and you get the additional feats, so you're not too hindered in a sense. Then you have your ability score improvement, another extra attack. So that's where I kind of base this off a fighter, that you get extra attack. Just because you're a melee combatant, you're not going to have any magic to magically imbue your weapons, like the likes of a warlock or something, or a paladin to do your smites. That having extra attack kind of balances that out. Magical interference, Knight's Order, ability score improvement, blank, devastating blows, ability score improvement, and then your final Knight's Order. So beginning at first level, we have the anti-magic level, or level weapon. You you select and form a pact with a weapon that will become your anti-magic night weapon. The anti-magic night weapon is a weapon that is imbued with anti-magic. The shadowy force behind these weapons can offer power to the users that make a pact with these weapons. So you choose one of the following options: greatsword, longsword, short bow, warhammer, maul, pike, and rapier. So you kind of have a range of weapons to go for. Personally, I think I'd go for greatsword or longsword, kind of keeping with the Asta aesthetic, but then there's always the option of going in a different direction if you want to go for more bludgeoning based weapons, piercing, with the likes of the pike or the longbows or short bows. And then you have the option of going maybe something like finesse with a rapier, so something light and edgy, so you can kind of play different styles, but at the same time you can kind of do different things, so you're not completely limited just to go for like a meat shield sort of character. You can go maybe more fancy and kind of be almost like a duelist and go rapier or something, which would be cool. And then you have your anti-magic fighting style. If we can get this to stay there. But beginning at first level, you adopt a particular fighting style as your specialty. Choose one of the following options that allow you to use your anti-magic weapon to its fullest. So it would be kind of weird for you to go like dueling if you choose a greatsword or something like that. So you kind of get, you want to choose what you want to go for. So if you're going for rapier, obviously you're probably not going to go archery. You can. It'd be a weird choice, but you definitely can. So you pick a following option that will allow you to use your anti-magic weapon to its fullest. You can't take a fighting style option more than once, even if you get too late or choose again. So even if you decide to dip into fighter, you can't go at second. I think it's second or first level when you choose your fighting style. So you can't actually get that bonus again, unless I think if you go fighter champion, I think you can get it that way. But that's the only limitation. But even then you have to take like 10 levels into fighter, so it kind of balances out in a sense. But I think that's the only time you can, I believe. I'll double check with DM anyways. That's just me running off the top of my head. So you have your kind of your base stuff. Archery, you gain +2 to attack rolls with ranged weapons. Defense, while you're wearing armor, you gain a +1 bonus to AC. Dueling, when you're wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you gain a +2 bonus to damage rolls with that weapon. Great weapon fighting, the usual kind of stuff. When you roll 1 or 2, you can re-roll them. Protection, when a creature you can see attacks another target other than you is within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll. You must be wielding a shield. 2-weapon fighting, when you engage in 2-weapon fighting, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the second attack. So that's kind of cool. And then at second level we have shield bypass. This is where the anti-magic element of the class starts to come into play. At second level, your attacks ignore magically increased ACs from spellcasting. The Magic Knight, that should be anti-magic knight's weapon, ignore the temporary AC increases from spells such as shield, shield of faith, mage armor, stuff like that. So anything that's magically increased just from short temporary spells. Not like if a person's wearing armor that's enchanted, that's like a permanent spell. Like you can't cut through that. That would be just normal AC as per usual, but it's just only when it's temporarily increased. So like as we said here, shield of faith. I can't remember if Agus's armor gives you bonus AC, but I'm pretty sure it's just the cold damage that it deals out. And then other spells like that, mage armor and whatnot. Then at third level, when you reach third level, you follow an order that binds you as an anti-magic knight forever. Up to this point, you have been following the path to be an anti-magic knight. Becoming an anti-magic knight involves rigorous training that helps further enhance strength, speed, durability, and hone your natural instincts. The anti-magic knights are a group of warriors that specialize in combat with anti-magic weapons. When the user reaches third level, he or she chooses an order to follow, further developing their skills. Now you choose the order of the Slayer, order of the Dweller, and order of the Destroyer, all detailed at the end of the class description. So I kind of went for the different sword types that Asta has. He has the Dweller, or the Demon Slayer sword, Demon Dweller sword, and the Demon Destroyer sword. So I thought those were kind of cool, keeping those kind of orders somewhat in the thing, or in the theme of the class. Then your choice. Get rid of that thing there. It'll go away. It won't. Lovely. There's a thing on the bottom that's popped up. We'll scroll down a bit. So your choice grants you features at third level, again at 7th, 10th, 15th, and 20th level. So you get 5 abilities. Then your ability score improvement, which is the usual kind of thing, at 4th, 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th level. So every 4 levels. I think fighters get one at 10, if I'm not mistaken, or at 6. You get one every now and again. Then 5th level, you get extra attack. Beginning at 5th level, you can attack twice instead of once whenever you take the attack action on your turn. The number of attacks increases to 3 when you reach 13th level in this class, so kind of balances out again, given an extra option to attack. At 6th level, you get the Mage Slayer feature. At 6th level, when a creature within 5 feet of you casts a spell, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against that creature, just to keep up the anti-magic knight or the anti-magic theme of it. So if someone's right beside you trying to cast a spell, it's like just bam. It's like not while I'm in the vicinity or whatever. Like there is the Mage Slayer feat, but I thought it fitted well with the theme of the class. I didn't take everything from it. I believe there's 3 features with the Mage Slayer, so we just took the one with the 5 feet. So it's a reaction, but it makes sense with it, and then I had to go with the name. It was cool, and I didn't want to go anti-magic knight reactions or something, even though I did do that for the 9th level spell, or not 9th level spell, 9th feature, 9th level feature. At 9th level, your ability to dodge magic attacks is improved greatly. You gain advantage against spell saves. I think this just makes sense because the whole purpose of the anti-magic knight is to be able to kind of tank magic and just be like nullify it. So by like you're not completely it's not like you're gaining a permanent bonus. Technically you are, because you're consistently taking a higher roll, but then you have like the rogues and stuff who can use cunning. What's cunning? I can't remember what it is, like the cunning something. When you can roll advantage, or if you succeed you take no damage and stuff like that. But so you're still going to take damage regardless, but I think this just balances out well, because just so you kind of stand a chance against magic, because you have to get up close to a spellcaster to deal damage against them, as long as it's not like a paladin or something. Paladins are like the odd exception where they're going to go toe-to-toe with you rather than try to keep a safe distance apart and just keep blasting you. But in this regard, you can close them down quite quickly, and you have a lot of staying power in a fight. And then at 14th level, you have magical interference. At 14th level, when you damage a creature that is concentrating on a spell, that creature has disadvantage on the saving throws and makes to maintain its concentration. So yeah, this kind of makes sense. Like you're hitting with anti-magic, so it kind of just makes sense to have a creature gets hit by you, and you're the polar opposite of it. It should be a detriment to them, because the fact they're going to be blasting you for ages to get to that point. So by the time you get to them, it should be kind of fair that they have disadvantage on it. And more than likely, if you're going up against other players, but more than likely you're not going to be playing against other players. You could be, you never know. But more than likely, the enemies could have some feats if the DM wants to, especially if you're going anti-magic, perhaps. I forget this, Warcaster. So they could have the Warcaster feat where they get advantage on concentration checks, and in this case you neutralize it, so it's just a straight roll, which is still really handy, so it kind of helps with that regard. So it's kind of handy with that. And then at 18th level we have Devastating Blows. At 18th level your attack score critical hit on a roll of a 19 or 20. So you have 5% chance more likely of getting a critical hit, so now you have 10% chance, which is kind of handy. Your 18th level, it's not as if it's a like 3rd or something, so if you hit someone 19 or 20, you can blow them away with your weapon. You're not going to be like able to throw any additional damage into it, but the fact that you have a higher chance of hitting these numbers, and you can do more outputs, you can do more attacks at this level. So you have 3 attacks from 13 level onwards, and perhaps you could dip into other classes, maybe fighter, get action surge, or maybe dip into barbarian and like get some bonuses to your damage resistance or whatever. Not damage resistance, I suppose it would be, yeah, damage resistance, slashing, piercing and stuff. So you'd be a bit of a tank to deal with. Obviously you wouldn't be able to get to the higher levels, but if you're dipping into different classes, obviously you're going to be kind of diluting yourself, and you can also by dipping into other classes that kind of naturally improves your score, but detriments in other areas. But I think everyone knows that anyways. So your Knight's Order becoming Anti-Magic Knight, we read all this. And then we have the Order of the Slayer. So at 3rd level with the Order of the Slayer, you get Spell Slice. Starting at 3rd level, you can use your reaction to slice the spell when you're hit by a ranged spell attack. When you do so, the damage you take from the attack is reduced by 1d10 plus your strength modifier plus your anti-magic knight level. So you could be hit by a spell. So for example, if I suppose a good example is this. Say you're hit by a fireball and you're at, is it 9th level when you get... Yeah, when you're at 9th level and you get anti-magic reactions. So you could theoretically get an advantage and be able to reduce the damage down and then use your spell slice. But you have to use your reaction for this, so it's kind of, it balances out a bit, so you lose one of your key components for that round, but if you manage, you can then reduce the damage you take. So you're keeping yourself in the fight and using your ability to kind of knock it back. You're going to get singed a little bit, but you can hit some of it back, and if you manage to reduce the damage to 0, you can reflect this. Actually, no, you wouldn't even be able to use this on a fireball because it's only for spell attacks, so it's going to be the likes of your, more likely your cantrips, and then there is some spells that use it. More than likely, when you're going up in the higher levels, people are going to be using AoE attacks. You might get the odd, I think Finger of Death, but Finger of Death is just based on your health, so it just hits automatically, I think. But stuff like that. So it's only for ranged spell attacks, and only for those kind of weapons or attacks. But yeah, so it balances out pretty well. So if you reduce the damage to 0, you can reflect the spell and make a ranged spell attack with the reflected spell. You make the attack with the proficiency bonus, with proficiency using your strength bonus as your spell attack modifier. The range for this attack is 120 feet. So in this case, for example, if you have a strength of, well, actually we'll scroll up to, you get this at 3rd level, so we'll see what your proficiency bonus is at 3rd level. 3rd level, it's 2. So, for example, if you're anti-magic knight with 14 strength, that means you get +2 to your roll, and then you have your proficiency bonus of 4. So to reflect that damage, it will be whatever you roll +4, and then you try to hit the targeted opponent with that range. And then I would also go off the distance from the spellcaster who casted. Off their range. So if it's 120 feet, you can reflect it back 120 feet. Your DM might say no, since it's hit its target and traveled that far, maybe half the distance. But obviously that's up to them and their kind of choice. But yeah, so it's kind of handy. It took elements of the monk where you can I forget what it's called, when you can grab projectiles and then reduce damage and then throw them back. It's kind of like that in a sense. You're taking elements of different classes and it kind of giving a flavor of this anti-magic knight to an extent. Then we'll go on to the next bit, which is improved perception. Starting at 7th level, your level of perception is improved dramatically. This is due to anti-magic weapons special properties. The anti-magic starting to flow through you, and you're kind of being able, your senses are being honed, and you can kind of perceive things just a little more clearly. You're not getting any bonuses to it, but your rolls are going to be at advantage, so it seems kind of cool, I think. Then at 10th level we have enhanced durability. Starting at 10th level, you gain a higher durability. Your constitution score increases by 2. Your maximum for the score is now 22. I was contemplating on putting this at a higher level, but I think this is a fair point to put it at, just at a mid-range, just because essentially you're an anti-magic knight, so you're going to be going more than likely toe-to-toe with so your paladins, your warlocks, your wizards, sorcerers, etc. And you're going to be the guy who's going to be chasing them down because you're perfectly designed for it. But at the same time, other than the paladin who's going to be going toe-to-toe with you, is a meat shield, but it can also hit hard with magic spells. So you want to be a bit hardier, have a bit more health, and if you go down this road, you're a bit tougher. So I think it just flows well with the class. It's not too wild. It's not like with the barbarian at level 20 when they get +4 to strength and con, which is a lot. I think 2 just to this one area kind of balances out the class. Obviously you could go hill, or I think it's mountain dwarf or orc, and get your natural bonuses from there, but you could also get it from other key areas. But I think it balances it well, so it's not too overpowering, but it makes sense from the standpoint of what the class is designed to do. That's 15th level, we have Anti-Magic Overflow. At 15th level, you learn to channel anti-magic energy throughout your body and attains a form where anti-magic courses through and covers part of your body. You can choose what it looks like. Maybe just describe the when Asta goes into his black Asta form, with like kind of a demonic kind of covering, get the horn, the wings, that kind of stuff. Maybe give yourself a red eye as a flavor thing, or just say you're completely like half and half. You're playing one side and just like maybe a different kind of color, maybe like a dark green, a dark blue, something like that. Or even like in this picture, it's more of a purpley color. So you could do something like that, or make it almost look like maybe there's smoke or something, almost like something mysterious, as if you're partially hidden in a sense. So you can see one half of you, and the other half's like black and smoldering and looks all kind of cool and scary to an extent. This form is drawn to strong magic. That's more of just a flavor text thing, because you're naturally going to be doing that. That's your role. So you're going to be the guy who's chasing down the wizards, the sorcerers, basically the spellcasters, and trying to take them out. That's your job. So you're naturally going to be a little bit more tankier, and you're going to be able to get after them quicker. And this greatly increases the user's strength and speed, while it also improves their focus and clarity of mind in rounds equal to their proficiency modifiers. So it's kind of like Rage to an extent, but more where Rage is more primal and feral. This is more honed and precise. You can only use it for key moments, but it's almost just like you're just turning all of your senses to 100% rather, well, everything at 100%, while you naturally kind of maybe stay in a 75% kind of area, where everything now you're going 100%, you have a limited time, you know what you got to do, and you got to get done as quick as possible. So as a bonus action, you can overflow your body with anti-magic. Temporarily, your strength checks are rolled with advantage, so if you want to like throw a boulder at someone, so your athletics or just a general strength check will be with advantage. Your speed increases by 10 feet and your initiative increases by 2, so you'll start faster, you move faster, and you're slightly stronger. So you could do athletic checks and stuff if you have to, say you gotta climb up a wall to get to the spellcaster who's on top of a tower. You're just like going, just climbing up like a bloody a madman or something. And your initiative will be a bit better because naturally you'll be going a bit quicker. So it'll be kind of cool. See how that goes. And once you use this feature, you must take a long rest before you can use it again. And then we have improved anti-magic overflow. 20th level, you can use anti-magic overflow feature 3 times before you must take a long rest to use it again. So it comes in again. It's essentially the same thing, but you're at 20th level, so you can use it 3 times. You're kind of more adjusted to the power that it outputs, and now you can use it at higher extents. You could, for example, use it, and it only lasts for, when you're at 15th level, I believe it's 4 rounds, 3 rounds? Okay, 5 rounds, but that's still not that much in consideration to, you could have your for example, your barbarian. I believe if certain barbarians, if they get to that level, they can have the endless rage, or that might be level 17, but still it's a comparable difference where you're only lasting for 5 rounds, where a barbarian could probably go for nearly 20, and you're only using it once per day. So it's a saved reserve, but you get a little bit more bonuses to it. You don't get your damage reduction, but you get quicker, you get kind of other key features, which makes it a cool option to go for. And then the improved anti-magic overflow allows you to use it a few more times per day, which at 20th level you should be able to like shoot lightning out of your ass, because you're like at that point you're almost like a demigod kind of, well, not, maybe not demigod, that's a bit much. I'd say maybe like a chosen champion of someone, so like that kind of level. So you should be up there in terms of caliber, so it's not surprising that you get used a couple of extra times. And then we're on to Order of the Dweller. And at 3rd level you get spell absorption. Starting at 3rd level, you can use your reaction to absorb the spell when you are hit by a ranged spell attack. So another thing again where it's spell attack has to be specifically spell attack. When you do so, the damage you take from the attack is reduced by half, and on your next on your next attack, your weapon is imbued with the damage type suffered by the spell's attack. This additional damage is 1d4. The imbued damage deals 1d4 when you reach 9th level, and then then it's that's 2d4 at 9th level, and at 16th level it becomes 3d4. So it's kind of cool. You take a bit of extra damage for your attacks. So you reduce it, which is handy. So as a reaction, you can absorb the attack, and that on your next turn, your weapon will become. So, for example, if you get targeted by a firebolt, and it hits, what is it, 3rd level, it's probably going to be like 1d10 plus maybe the wizard spell attack bonus, which is probably like between 3 or 4, I would guess. So maybe, for example, just to be a middle of the road, the damage you take is 10. Is that they roll a 6 plus 4, so 10. So you can use your reaction to have it, and then on your next attack you deal 1d4 fire damage on your weapon attack, which is kind of cool. So it's kind of like Asta's Demon Dweller Sword. When a party member he trusts, or when they trust him, he's able to absorb part of their magic and imbue his strikes with it. But that's a bit of a weird concept to include into D&D, so I thought it was better to take an enemy's attack and use it back against them, which is kind of a cool concept. So you could get in close and then just hit them back with their own damage, and it'd be kind of scary that then you're expected not to take as much damage as you did. They want you, maybe you're expecting to take 10. It's like, I shrugged it off. I took a 5. Then starting at 7th level, we have the Natural Athlete. Your natural athletic ability has improved dramatically due to your anti-magic night training. You gain a +5 bonus to your athletic checks. So I could have done to your strength checks, but I'm pretty sure athletics is your only strength check. There might be others. Trying to remember off the top of my head, but I think this just balances well. With the other class, you're better at perception. I was thinking like I could do athletics at advantage, but it makes more sense since you're more physically powerful. It should naturally show it. So if, for example, you have 14 strength, and if you're proficient with strength, I think you'll have 2 or 3 in proficiency. So your bonus would be 5 to your roll, and by adding on this extra, you get 10 then. So you're kind of like your natural athlete, and your athletics checks will be good. Like, not everything's going to use your athletics, but it's a kind of cool thing to show off that you're bloody strong. Then at 10th level we have Enhanced Speed. Starting at 10th level, you're capable of moving in above average speed. Your speed increases by 10 feet while you aren't wearing heavy armor. So you can get a bonus, but if you're wearing heavy armor, it just won't work. So that includes tower shields, unfortunately. So as much as I'd love to be a guy running around with full plate armor, tower shield, and a longsword, you're not going to be able to run. You're going to be like 20 feet of movement, I think it is. But you could still go out in a half plate on your sword, maybe a shield, and still deal some serious damage, which would be kind of cool. But yeah, that kind of makes sense for this class. It's more about getting hit by spell attacks, absorbing the damage, and then getting up close to the guy who attacked you and then just dealing it straight back to him. So you want to do it with extensive speed, and maybe you have to make some jumps and stuff, and you're just naturally strong, so you can just fly across the area, maybe make a long jump, and you just succeed by all margins. Then at 15th level we have Anti-Magic Zone. Starting at 15th level, the user has learned to hone their anti-magic and project it for short bursts of time in rounds equal to their proficiency bonus or proficiency modifier. As a bonus action, they can project a 10-foot circle around them of Anti-Magic Zone. In this zone, no magic can be cast or used on the Anti-Magic Knight. Cast outside the zone can still be affect the user. So, example, someone hits you with a firebolt. Say they're 15 feet away, just outside the 10-foot zone, that can still hit you, but anything in the 5 feet can't. So that can really kind of hinder a paladin who wants to get up close. For example, they could be a pike user, but they have to be 10 feet away. They could still be within 10 feet to hit you, but since they're in that area, that weapon will not deal the damage they want to. So it's kind of cool. And then once you use this feature, you can't use it again. You must take a long rest before you can use it again. So it makes sense, but at the same time, there's a bit of a downside to it. So you got to keep. I would say that it doesn't affect permanent. I was thinking about it that like it shouldn't affect the user per se, but it's in the 10-foot radius. So if you're wearing magic armor, perhaps you can discuss this with your DM. I would say that your gear wouldn't be affected. 'Cause maybe it's just like outside you, but anything in the area, like, so for example, you have you and you're in that circle. Anything that's outside that circle, say like this, it's hard to describe, but I'm trying to describe my hands inside my hands. It's a weird one, but so if you're here, for example here, and your magic zone is like this area here, you should be unaffected. But at the same time, by going by the text, I know I wrote it myself and whatever, but you should be, actually, you know what, yeah, we'll say that magic doesn't affect your enhanced gear. So like if you have +1 armor, +1 shield, stuff like that, it doesn't affect it, but it does affect weapons that come in or other stuff. As for example, if you get if you're running low, you're running on health, while you have this thing up, you can't use health potions, but a person can, say, like, use a ranged healing spell on you. That will still affect because it's outside of range. But if you want to uncork a healing potion and chunk it down, that's not going to work. But enchanted gear, I'd say, would still work because it won't last. It won't be affected by the potency of the anti-magic. Anti-magic's more for spells in the moment, I would argue. And then possibly you could say that maybe the weapons that someone comes in with will still be affected. Yeah, that's probably the best way to run it. Just, I've thought about it, but you kind of like going, You're kind of hemming and hawing on it. But yeah, I would say that permanently enchanted items still can be of use, but instant items like spells and stuff. So if someone wants to use like Booming Blade on you, they're not going to use it, or Smite. That's not going to work, but maybe their weapon still has damage. Then we have the improved anti-magic zone. So similar to the improved, the other improved one, I forget the name off the top of my head, anti-magic overflow. The improved anti-magic zone allows you to use the feature 3 times before you must take a long rest. So it's another thing, it adds kind of an extra layer of ability to it. It's not too much, but it just adds a bit. And then we have Order of the Destroyer. At 3rd level, we have Spell Lift. Starting at 3rd level, you can use your bonus action to lift a spell casted upon a creature. You have to touch the creature with your weapon, so maybe just like almost seeming like you're knighting them, but you can extract a spell. So if someone's been charmed, or if someone's been affected with some sort of spell, maybe they're hexed or something like that. Starting at 3rd level, you can use your bonus action to lift a spell casted on a creature. You have to touch the creature with your weapon. If the spell casted is 3rd level or lower, the spell ends and the effect is lifted. If the spell is 4th level or higher, make an abilities check using your strength modifier. The DC is equal to 10 plus the spell's level. On a success, the spell ends and the effect is lifted. So that's kind of cool. I kind of took the idea of counterspell, but made it as an action, or as a bonus action of sorts, but it can only be used once it's been placed on a person, rather than counterspell, it's like you stop the spell being casted. This one lifts the spell after the fact. Maybe there might be some specific spells, maybe like Hex and stuff, can only be lifted by, I believe, Remove Curse. So maybe in cases like that, you might not be able to remove it, but stuff that, like Charmed and stuff, maybe you can lift it in that regard, which would be cool. And then at 7th level, you have Intimidating Prowess. Starting at 7th level, your physical might is intimidating to others. You have become physically intimidating due to your anti-magic night training. You become a little more bulked, you seem a little more scary, maybe a little more rugged around the edges. That kind of off-puts people. You can add your strength modifier to your Intimidate skill checks, which will make a lot of people scared, especially when you're going to be a strength-based combatant. At 10th level, we have Enhanced Strength. Starting at 10th level, you gain a high level of physical strength. Your strength score increases by 2. Your maximum score for this score is now 22. It just seems kind of it makes sense with where the this spell is going. Your strength is your main component, and you're all about destroying. So you want to be hitting hard as you can, and essentially destroying anything and anyone in your way. So by naturally learning how to properly hone that destructive force behind your swings and your training and stuff, you naturally become stronger. Where the Dweller is more about longer lasting, the Destroyer is more about hitting hard early on and dealing as much damage as possible. And what Dweller is about, well, Demons, there's a Slayer. The Slayer one is about lasting long to eventually be to the point where you can get up close and take them out of a fight, and the Destroyer is about hitting them as hard as possible, as much as you can before you go down. The Dweller is about reflecting damage and using a person's magic against them to an extent. It's more about being hit and then hitting them back, so almost a kind of like a revenge based order. It's all about lashing back at the person who's harmed you. Destroyer is about destroying the magic casters, and then the Slayer is about lasting long, being the guy who's going to take down the spellcasters. That's your job, that's what you're going to do. You might not be good with other physical combatants, but spellcasters is your bread and butter, and you know how to take care of them left and right. So we have Spell Lift, Intimidating Prowess, Enhanced Strength, and then at 15th level you have Magic Suppression. Starting at 15th level, on an attack the user can suppress a creature's ability to utilize their spells. The creature must make a Constitution saving throw DC of 8 plus your Proficiency Bonus plus Strength plus your Strength modifier. On a failure, the creature is afflicted with Magic Suppression. Once the Magic Suppression is placed upon a creature, no magic can be cast or affect the afflicted creature. This action lasts for as many rounds equal to your Proficiency Bonus. The Magic Suppression must run in its course before the creature has the ability to use or be affected by magic again. Once you use this feature, you must take a long rest before you can use it again. So this is really handy if you want to get up and close with that spellcaster. For example, you're fighting a necromancer, as an example, and your main goal is to take him out because he's hitting you with prismatic sprays, prismatic walls, stuff like that, and he's just becoming a pain in the ass, and he keeps reviving skeletons or summoning new creatures when it's a pain in the butt. So you want to get in there, hit him as hard as you can, and then when you make a chance, or when you have to take a chance, you can hit them and force them to make a Constitution saving throw and potentially suppress their magic up to a maximum of 6 rounds, which for a necromancer is horrifying because that's their main thing. If it's a paladin, you can kind of get away with it because they're physically strong, but they want to have that magical component to be able to hit back. And perhaps you hit them, but they don't realize that they've been suppressed until they go to cast a spell and they can't cast it, which for a spellcaster against a party, maybe potentially warriors, that would be a horrifying experience for them, and they just want to run away. So it'd be a good little thing to have, possibly overpowered, but at the same time, if you're going to be saving this because you can use it once per day or once per long rest, that more than likely if you're going to be saving it for the big baddie, you're going to be wanting to use it against him or her, and use it once they've used up all their legendary actions or saving throws. So or maybe just do it on your friend who pisses you off. It's like, yeah, bang. You can't use your spells anymore for like a few seconds. Like, it's not much, but it'll last for up to 36 seconds, so it's not the biggest crazy thing out there. And then at 20th level you have improved magic suppression. At 20th level you can use the magic suppression feature 3 times before you must take a long rest to use it again. Magic suppression can only be used on one target at a time. If the feature is used while it's on another creature, the effect ends and it affects new creature. So kind of in a sense how Hex works. Hex can only be on one creature one creature at a time, and if you cast it onto another, the effect ends on the creature that was afflicted last, and it now affects the newly afflicted creature. So you kind of got to choose how you want to do it. Maybe you want to hit the big baddie. Who knows? He could be a anti-magic paladin or not anti-magic paladin. Forget anti-paladin. I can't remember the names when they swap sides. Perhaps you're fighting a paladin who is 20th level and maybe has his amped up or has the backing of a demigod or something imbuing his strikes, and you just want to hit him, knock him down a peg or two, and if you can suppress his magic for a few rounds just to get some good licks in, that'd be a great way to do it. But then again, you're at 20th level, so this might seem a bit much, but then again, at 20th level, you're going up against beasts and gods. Well, maybe not gods, but like demigods. Crazy stuff that you'd have to potentially fight against. Stuff that you want to have an edge over them. And even if that, if you have this edge, they can still, like, it's not like you hit them and it's instant impact, but like, they still can make a save and they can still potentially save against it. So it's an interesting one. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. You guys can find this character sheet in the description below. It just goes to my my Google Drive. You guys can download it there. There's other classes. I should make them all available on some page so you guys can check them out. But you can also check out the anime to D&D video, I forgot the playlist, and there's all the different classes and archetypes and races that we've done in there, and you guys can check them out, download them, and use them in your own games. Let me know if you do use them, what you guys think, and please leave a suggestion if you guys have anything you want us to do. There was one guy who was looking for One Piece's Zoro. I'm working on it. It's a really weird class or archetype to get around, just because it deals with having extra attacks, and the more weapon attacks you have, it just makes it crazy, and I want to hinder him in a capacity and give him bonuses, but it just doesn't balance well within an anime landscape of sorts. You could just easily say you have 3 attacks and then you have certain disadvantages, but it makes more sense to go with Pathfinder's way they fight, where like you have your first attack and it's at your top bonus, and then the next one is at a lesser bonus, and so on and so forth. But you don't want to use all those floating numbers in D&D 5e. That's the whole point of it. Less floating numbers, and maybe if you have a second attack and you're not proficient, it deals a lower damage die. So something like that. But it's a weird one. But if you guys have any suggestions on what you want me to do next, or anything to come up with, please let me know. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you guys next time.